afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Propagandacast from your host, Imperial Dane, Master Propaganda, Hero Strike, Defender of the Fatherland, off an exciting 1 vs 1 on kholodny Ferma, summer. The setting is in 1944, somewhere on the Eastern Front. The Germans and the Russians are clashing at it as always. In the East, we got S205 here fighting for the Soviet Union, Socialism, Comrade Stalin, and the 7th Mechanized Corps. In the West, we got Heath Ledger, who I'm actually known as a player, looks like a Smurf account. Fighting though for the Oberkommando with a Doppelsturm Pioneer start, which is a bit of the rare ones. Break for Luftwaffe and Spec Ops here for him versus S205, Scout Motor, Defensive Tactics, Armed Assault. S205 would say so far has proven himself to be an exceedingly clever alert player who can certainly pull off some neat tricks. Of course, he also plays as Axis, but he certainly stands out as more memorable, to me at least, as ally, thanks to some of his strategic plays. Strafnicki start here versus the Oberkommando S. Usual, methodology there for most players. Go for penal troops versus the Oberkommando, since the Oberkommando West tend to lack quite the tools to immediately stop that down as efficiently as they can. Plus, the scout card tends to be a bit of a problem as well. Of course, this could be very well why Heath Ledger has gone for Doppelsturm Pioneers, as they can extend at least counter the scout card together. Plus, of course, put some pressure on the penal troops, though they do have some other issues. There's an interesting move here by Heath Ledger. We'll have to see how it works out for him here versus S205. Note the capping order here, point there being slightly grabbed, then moving the other squad to finish off the job, as then advances the L1 further forwards. I'm not entirely sure if this is fully efficient. We couldn't just go on that way and just take the L and remain there, but who knows. Penal troop squad setting out, and there we go. We do have the scout car on the way, wiring off here by the northern munitions to make it a bit harder if to about. Theoretically, you can wire it off entirely if you wanted to. More foot's going to be there on the way for Heath. Sandbag or cover there, slightly wired off, but not fully. Also, a small mistake was apparently made during the episode between Refero and Twisted Tootsie. That was not Refero, but someone pretending to be him. So, just a heads up there. That was not Refero, and apparently he very much dislikes the whole ghost sandbags and wire as well. So, just a small thing there. Sandy, there's been a lot of players pretending to be other players as of late, and while I try my best to, keep track of that, occasionally there are slip-ups. So, my apologies there to Refero. That we did have a talk about, just, want to make it out there publicly. Anyways, we've got double focuses here. We got the scout rolling here to support the Strafnicki there with the 40 semi-automatic rifles. Focus with Sturm Pioneers here firing out across the terrain. Other Sturm Pioneers moving in, and we got the Fulton tank from the other side here. Could possibly see there we go, a big combined push to push off S205 here again. Double Sturm Pioneers means a lot of assault rifle fire, and theoretically if it was too slow to retreat, he could end up suffering heavy losses to the assault rifle wielding Sturm Pioneers. There you go, down to half health. Sturm Pioneers pushing ahead here. Scout car taking heavy damage, since double Sturm Pioneers can actually be a surprisingly good counter to the M3A1 due to the assault rifles slightly dealing with the armor easily, plus the high rate of fire also means they just quickly tear apart, since accuracy versus scout cars tends not to matter. So in this regard, a double Sturm Pioneer sort of force that can actually counter an M3A1 reasonably well, though it still requires a bit of work. Point there being secured, having of course lost a bit actually, so the fuel is a bit rough there for Heath Ledger. Check on the way there for him, fighting for the, let's just say the 3rd Panzergrenadier. Scout car done, flamethrower already. Here's of course got the scout car flamethrower combo here from S205. Very potent combo while going off. The Sturm Pioneers have split up, so he can't immediately deal with this as easily as he would like to. A bit unfortunate there for Heath. Great of course for S205, who can put some heat on Heath. And the Sturm Pioneers will need to retreat as soon as possible. Note the scout car in this case slightly blocking the retreat path as well. Heavy damage down there, but in fact go straight for the carve point again. Fulton's moving up, but they sadly don't quite have the same level of firepower to deal with the scout car, simply due to not having the rate of fire there. Going to keeping the Sturm Pioneers occupied, trying his best here with his Fulton. Rearm of course being a bit easy to penetrate for the rifles, but even there it might not quite work out, allowing the scout car to get away. He could theoretically get the engineers, in which case S205 might have pushed his luck just a bit too far beyond its bearings, and Petro there's running, he's running, and didn't make it. I'm making it, oh god, my spleen, I'm dead. Grab the carve point there, Sturm Pioneers reinforcing. That is a Belgrave headquarters up there for Heath, likely a flak half tackers and MG34s. Crane points there, of course, so long as he controlled the carve point at this point in theory and some other points, he still has the fuel connected, though he has to still defend the fuel point against S205's penal troopers. Folks continue fighting up with the penal troopers here, noting S205 is not really going for much else. In fact, he's going for some very early medics, despite having not exactly a huge field presence. And mine goes off, taking out the scout columns, the entire engineer squad. If he'd gotten that, that would have been pretty great there for Heath. That had been a double engineer wipe, which was certainly slowed down S205. And here by the 5-minute mark, S205 commits to the doctrine. It is Guard Motor. Guardsmen opposite going to be part of the plan. We'll have to see what goes for the heavy mortars to an extent. I mean, the heavy mortars can be useful for different reasons, but they might find themselves further useful if Heath later tries to dig in, though, with his current build order. Harder to say. But right now, he's very low in units. He's lost scout cars, engineers. He went for very early medics. He, of course, has to go more for troops. And, of course, he's likely here planning for a lot of guardsmen sort of carry the day. But until then, Heath Ledger has a massive force advantage on the field and can sort of, try and push that hard. We'll have to see if we sort of, can realise what S205 is doing here. And, of course, S205's harassment will slow down Heath just a bit. There we go, first guard squad out here for S205 and the 7th Mechanized Corps. DP light machine guns being added. Grabbing the cut-off point there, Fulters moving in, and no Sturmgewehrs there for Heath as of yet. Though we got in the bar here, double minesweepers. He's clearly worried about mines and other things there from S205. Not going to chance out for Panzerschrecks versus vehicles, and certainly no options for flamethrowers since he doesn't have Firestorm, so Panzerschreck is really the only other option you have with the Sturm Pioneers. But there you go, MD-34 out for Heath Ledger and the 3rd Panzer Division. We got the Strafnicki moving about there with the semi-automatic rifles, which ends up serving as a basis for the German Gewehr 43 as a fun fact. Mining up here. No, he's cutting wire actually. Cutting wire. Bit of rare sight, he doesn't actually bother cutting the wire here, but Heath clearly needs it cut. Germany demands the wires cut. And there you go. In this case, he tried to sort of stay close to the terrain. He's at the guardsmen had to get close to the Sturm Pioneers. In this case, though, the barbed wire basically couldn't easily stay close to it fully, and the Sturm Pioneers had to move. But there you go, single Sturm Pioneers squad moving in. Opening up the guardsmen, they're cutting the derivatives up close. Grenade off, though. Oh, doesn't move, does move. Does get some good damage in the guardsmen, doesn't quite finish them off. PTRS is going to be grabbed back. Filters with the assault rifle, couldn't have moved into support maybe, and there you go. Machine about to get rushed for penal troopers. He's going to have to retreat here because they're going to have to pop for the satchel charge, I think, before they can do anything about the penal troopers. And there you go, he just pulls back. Right decision there. Had he tried to just shoot them down, he would have been satchel immediately, in which case there would have been a good chance he wouldn't have been able to get the machine gun out in time. Shifts back here to the smaller shed, an interesting move there. You rarely see this one actually utilised for anything, but Heath here knows it's the shed's time to shine. It is the Führer shed. But there you go, second guard squad out first to a 5, increasing the amount of elite infantry has in the field. Light infantry gun almost done, but the penalties then making a bit hard to move. Still, he's almost got the fuel point back. In the south, we got the forces planking on the Strafnicki. Sturmgewehrs there, proving superior to the PTRS and the SVT-40. Light infantry gun there, caught in a pretty bad spot. Need to be careful. Cut on, they're being napped again. Almost got the fuel point there. And note the machine gun can't shoot through here due to the trees. Of course, it might not be quite fully obvious from this angle here, and I imagine that's basically what's caught Heath there. Bit off guard. Back here, penals coming right back for healing reinforcement. Life gun hammering away, full barrel spray. Quickly, get out! Why, the Germans are bombarding the house! What's new? Idiot, we don't want to die. Oh, right. Should probably reposition that machine gun, since again it's not exactly doing Heath a lot of good. Spec Ops up there, might be setting up there for Command Panther, or just wants to have the infiltration grenade assault ready. There you go, gets the machine gun going. Yeah, that shed was terrible. You don't say. Yeah. There was no plumbing in it. It's a shed. Why would there plumbing? Mine shed has plumbing. You're an idiot, Ludwig. Guardsmen Norfolk's there. DP light machine ready for them as well. Note he hasn't replaced the PTRS, which they lost. Other guard squad does not access to the DP light machines. There you go. Penals will push back. Isolates the northern guard squad as well. We can push them away. That'll certainly allow them to just more easily mob up the guardsmen. In this regard, the penal troopers certainly can't easily fend themselves off. And S205 so far doesn't seem to realise what's going on here, so now he could basically swing north to do with the guardsmen if he wanted to, in the centre point being secured. Light infantry gun could probably stand a bit further. Of course, with the light infantry gun, S205 could consider having more to just, hit that one back. I think you should move up some troops here as well instead of just moving straight up on the line here, because that way you can sort of threaten the retreat path of the guardsmen better. Grenade exchange, and there you go. Guardsmen easily escape. This is, where I think some movement up here would have been better, and particularly had the Sturm Pioneers added as well. So that's just sort of a slight tactical comment from me. Tank command going up here for S205 as his men are hard at work setting it up for those sweet tanks. There you go, schwerer Wehrmachtsleopard, that's like him with the schwer punted quarters, most likely around here or possibly around here. Wiring off the cover there, machine gun in the church. We'll have to see where he ends up otherwise. Alright, he sets up here to try and cover the centre victory point as well. A bit more of a risky setup there, to be honest, by Heath. And the third punch going to show him, but there you go. Garten taking heavy down from the Sturm Pioneers. Up close, they do pack quite a punch. Machine gun there might have a chance, but not in this case. He's actually hard foot set it, so actually just far from this angle, so it doesn't do anything silly. Not a bad idea, I suppose. In this case, there's not really much room for them to move from other places. And there you go, Gaspman wiped. But a loss there for S205. He's certainly still low in units and needs to be mindful of this. Pushing for the T70. And right here, of course, we have a bit of a problem for Heath. He's got no anti-tank gun. In fact, he's coming into a second light infantry gun. And just as importantly, he's gone, full minesweeper on his Sturmpioniere. So right now, Heath actually has a bit of a problem. Also, his schwer-punted quarters was cancelled. So I think this is a mistake here, to be honest. And also, he shouldn't position it that risky, but that's just me, of course. Losing the fuel point again. So right now Heath is about to get into a really bad spot as the T-70 hits, and Heath has got a lot of anti-infantry but absolutely no anti-tank. I mean, he can go for the Kedner, but the problem is the T-70 is going to be fueled before that. So with this, I think S205 has a really good chance of swinging the game back against the Germans. As long as I'm nothing too silly with his T-70. We've got Panzerfaust off here, which will slow down the T-70, and he really should be retreating here, but at the same time, it's only a temporary mesh. It stalls it for a bit, but it doesn't exactly put an end to it. Still double line for guns will put some pressure on S205, of course, making it hard for him to use his infantry, in particular closer here to the artillery battery that Heath later has managed to establish. Guys moving up, there we go, grenade off. Peanuts are being slowly forced away. He's certainly trying his best to get the most out of the Sturm Pioneers, getting 22 on them. Very good. Peanuts are almost wiped out. Need to be careful otherwise. Would be a shame to lose such excellent Sturm Pioniere. He's actually moving ahead with the T-70 here. S205 seems to have a really good read here, and Heath just doesn't care, but I suspect part of it's just he's got a lot of infantry, but also just 2 light infantry guns, so he's probably thinking there's no sign of a kidnap as of yet, which is a pretty bold guess. But he's pushing back the machine gun there pretty well. Line for gun from Binary Kidnap moving in. You should probably pull that machine gun out there before the T-70 wipes up, but there you go, the Kidnap hit. Oh, main gun out! Can he finish off the T-70? Can he punish S205 there for a severe case of hubris or madness? Troops reinforcing, engineers need to retreat pretty soon. Gassman, Peanuts all moving in, trying to save the T-70 from a wretched death at the hands of the Germans. Engineers still white, leaving in fact with no engineers now. That's definitely not good either. Well, at least he saves the T-70 here pretty damn close for S205. We need to, I think, reorganise and replan here a bit, because right now Heath is hurting a lot. And there you go, Scrap 100 quarters up again. Double line for guns there, just hammering away for the fatherland. The light Infanteriegeschütz was, as the name sort of gives a clue to, an infantry support weapon meant to be able to support the infantry during attacks by running direct artillery fire. It could also in a pinch be used as an anti-tank weapon. So a little fun fact there. There also existed a bigger version that was the 15 cm schwerer Infanteriegeschütz, of which there actually existed a self-propelled version for the Panzer divisions, with later versions known as the Grille, which actually used the Mana chassis. A fun fact, there was some earlier versions known as the Bison, which looked a bit more silly. So a little fun fact there. Up north, Sturm Pioneers seizing the northern victory point here. Sweeping with the teacher near Mike. Steel Pioneers. Oh, almost caught there on their own line. That would have been quite painful there for Heath Ledger had he gone off. And of course, S205 saw that, so he basically knows there's a mine and he just sets off to destroy it. North push here from S205 from the Red Army. We got like him in south, let's see. Heath Ledger, of course, has to hold the fuel harassment and he delayed in Schwer Panzer quarters. Not a lot of fuel, to be honest, so he can't really push for any armor immediately. He could maybe go for an orbital land score, but that actually push him into like 7 infantry scores. That would be a lot of infantry and a lot of manpower being spent solely in infantry, which could actually make it hard for him to go from tanks because he'd be suffering for a massive manpower bleed. S205 there might be setting up for T-35s when he's got manpower fuel floating. He's also got a smaller force, but so far he's, I think, handling it pretty deftly here versus Heath Ledger, just making, so say, surgical strikes here and there that makes it harder for the Heath Ledger just, fight the way he wants to. And there go again, harassing the fuel, cutting it off, denying and stalling, buying time. Heavy mortar also finally arriving here, probably help counter the enemy artillery, but also put some pressure on the Schwerer Panzer headquarters. So we got that one out. Second biggest mortar of the war. I believe the biggest one was also the third one. That was the 160mm mortar. Fun fact there. The Germans, I believe, had some sort of big mortar as well. I think it was 100mm, so that was actually a Nebelwerfer. And I think the Americans also had something roughly in that size, but the sort of one there became to an extent standard both for the Soviets and the Germans, who quickly adopted it as a fun fact. And then later made a 160mm heavy mortar. But there you go, mortar firing down. We got radio silence here from Heath Ledger, very interesting engineers doing what they can. Peanuts or gas hold here by the MD-34, but that one is getting scorched up. And there go grenade assault, flashing out the engineers violently. Saying I came up for Heath Ledger, he's definitely starting to anticipate enemy armour in bigger numbers and needs more anti-tank weapons. But he also needs to defend his fuel point and possibly try and harass S205s a bit more. Heavy mortar there quickly falling back as the double infantry guns can quickly put a lot of pressure on it.
The enemy is taking what we have secured.
3 and 4 kills so far. Veterans 1 on 1 of the light infantry ships there go take up S205, continue for up with the T-45. That's going to force, I think, Heath to have to go for Panthers or Yak Panthers. I mean, he could go for the Panzer IV, but it's always one of those, shall we say, trickier matchups simply due to the T-45 just having, in most cases, better stats. Primarily, though, it's the health that makes the difference, since that means you can just technically absorb more hits, even like the shots don't bounce, whereas with the Panzer IV, if the shot don't bounce, or the shot get off its armour, it's in a bit of trouble there, since it can then only take 4 hits, whereas the T-45 can take, 2 more. So that's a bit of an important distinction, if you will. At least roughly 2 more, I think. Sturmpani is about to be assaulted by a lot of angry Russians. T-55 almost done here. Sturmpani can push back here with the Guardsman and the T-70. Orbital are not here for Heath. Most likely going to be the Infert Sturmgewehrs. Armor still some time off. He's also starting to run out of pop cap, which is certainly the other danger as the orbital command, since of course you have a few things to spend your manpower on besides infantry. At some point, you're risking just go for too much. You don't have the population then to actually go for armor. A mortar fire raining down here from its side. S205's base. Setting out. Got the orbital thing northwards as well. In for Sturmgewehr halfway done. Some heard we're getting these new assault rifles. Yeah, with infrared sights. Yeah, but it's there, isn't it? Yeah. I guess it could be nice. It goes to a 5 T-55 is on the way there. There we go, Infant Sturmgewehrs. Doesn't quite pull for the cover there. Might be feeling he's not quite in time there to actually do anything. And so could just decide to fall back to defend the fuel point, which is currently, I would say, the bigger priority due to the severe harassment. Victory points wise, it's not quite as pressing. Double line guns firing away there. Ooh, getting off some good hits. Penal troops there being shattered by the light infantry shots. T-17 Norfolk, see if they're almost done. Heath Ledger here can soon go for the Panther 4, though again he might want to stay up for the Panther. At least that will be my personal opinion. Gas from the thing southwards, slowly approaching Veteran 3. Demo charging in the house, cheeky play there by S205, but definitely not bad at all. Lots of 205 there from the double line for guns, 3 and 8 kills. Scrap Hunter quarter spotting them, there we go, going for the fuel point orbs. I'm doing what they can, quickly cutting down the engineers, showing no mercy. And there you go, T7 pushing the orbital line out, the Kedma moving up. And of course with the T-35 out as well, he should have noticed it. Of course the question becomes what he goes for. Got the engineers to leading once more. S205 without any engineers, that's a bit of a problem for him. Demo chart spotted and set off there. Clearly S205 has to get up earlier there to full Heath Ledger with that one. Flares off here. I mean, Heath actually has a much larger force, but the way he's handling it is in some ways less flexible than S205, plus his force is mostly support weapons compared to the S205 which is mostly infantry. So in that regard, while it might seem in some ways got an overall large force, which he does, it's a bit more difficult to use, I think, as freely as he can there versus his opponent. Akedma's creeping up. Looks like he's setting up for either Panther, Command Panther. Regular Panther would be faster, honestly, and a bit cheaper. Ooh, got the T7 middle Akedma efforts, though he's bunching up troops a lot there against the heavy mortar, which is definitely not something he should be doing. Line for guns that are really proving the worth here. 3 and 9 kills, both are closing in on Veteran 2. Back here healing and enforcing, and note Bauer has lost the penalty to score, so he probably needs to consider more infantry down the road. Double Sturm Pioneer versus the Guardsman. Holding in, push back the fascists! As long as our flanks are. Oh shit, run! Also on there with 3 kills. We got radio silence once more from Heath. He's actually going for a fort retreat point out of all things. I'm not sure why, in part because it does lower his reinforcement speed by a notable chunk, but I guess he wants to do it. Got the machine ready to cover the northern victory point. He's had enough of any rations harassing that point. And there we go, the fort retreat point has been set up. Could out first to a 5 to basically soften up Heath Ledger's positions, although a second heavy mortar could possibly also do this well, but he might be wanting to use the Katyusha there to silence the light infantry guns. So right now S205 is a bit on the back foot here. Heath Ledger has been able, I think, to move into a good position here. The double line for guns have in fact proven quite helpful for this purpose. Now of course it's up to S205 to somehow try and swing this around in favour of the motherland, to shatter the fascists and their strongholds and drive them back to Berlin like rats. Lots of line for guns there. He's making it very difficult, as it turns out these rats are heavily armed with artillery, which definitely makes any rat very dangerous. Got the Katyusha out. Also apparently just sort of having a nice chat with the medics. So nice vessel you're having. Says a war going on. Get out and shoot someone. Command Panther on the way there for Heath, so he does end up going for it. Of course he can still follow up with medium armor afterwards, so I guess it's not all bad. And of course he does have some orbital and with the Sturmgewehrs, which I also feel like is a shame a lot of players missed out on. There you go, Dollar comes ambush, but there you go, seemingly had it all most time there. In this case, he was firing at the forces behind. That almost looked like he was firing out like Kedma was there, which would have been Curse more radio silencer from Heath. Command Panther setting up, backed up with the orbital and even moving up the light infantry guns for support here. grabbing a sense of victory upon, though, while Heath is not paying attention. Good work. Heath really needs, I think, to extend his presence more active into the south. There you go. Heavy mortar under fire from the light infantry guns. Raining down death. Trying to silence it here. And almost got it wiped out. Very good. Fun fact though is that in the German army they were slowly phasing out the light infantry gun in favour of the heavy mortar. And maybe amongst other things because the heavy mortar was a bit easier to produce overall. The light infantry gun, which was actually somewhat complex comparatively. A cool design. Also they're gaining veteran 5 guys now and the other getting blasted. Panther falling back. Pushing back and forth here. Guys, I need to be careful. Those light guns can do some serious harm, and in fact they did. S205 ain't setting up for another T-45, though of course he might want to consider some issue-5 to deal with the Command Panther a bit more specifically. There's also one thing he could consider is actually trying to make some base raids against Heath, just to force him to consider that path as well. Command Panther could definitely do a machine. We've got Castle 40 backed up with the penal troopers. Artillery just continues to rain down like an unrelenting rain of death. More guards was called in by S205 at some point. So third guards brought out there, not bad at all. And there you go T-Fed for flashing out the machine in there from the shed. More radio silence. He really likes to use radio silence. I really haven't seen anyone use this much radio silence in some time, but Heath Ledger here clearly loves operating under it. Decisive fire here. Northwards there, Command Panther nearby as well. Got the T-55 rushing southward. 1 kill so far. Almost got the fuel point there. He's going to have to retreat soon, but even then, slowing down. S205's economy is going to be great here for Heath. S205 though definitely going to need to bring up some armor to support here because the Katyushas are not going to fix the issue of the Panther. Unless Heath does something incredibly dumb. We got Monty always clearly worried that Heath Ledger might try and rush into the base and take out the Katyusha. So by mining this spot, he basically cuts off that potential and also sets a potential trap wave. Then he tries to do it. Boom! Tank stuck right next to his base, in which case S205 might have a really good chance of taking it out. There's a good play there, but Kedno's retreating. Home order from the Schwerpanzer quarters. There he goes, trying to north. The T-54 rolls ahead, full speed. Almost got the machine gun there. Certainly got the sandbags. We got the Ops on moving up here. 3 kills. He really hasn't been doing anything with them for ages there. That definitely feels wasteful there by Heath, to be honest. It looks like he hasn't realised there's an awful lot of angry guardsmen shooting at them. So it looks like Heath is not handling it too well there. Possibly again he's suffering for the fact he's got too much infantry to manage. I mean, 2 Sturmpioneer squads, 3 Volksguard squads, and the Obersoldaten, and that is a ton of infantry, and that might in fact just believe Heath Ledger. He's just struggling, trying to keep all the pieces moving, and there go Obersoldaten got wiped out before really doing anything serious. So really a waste of manpower and munitions there for Heath. And again highlights the potential danger of just having too much infantry, which is really something you want to be careful about. Still more harassment here, but not really trying to grab what just the point C, just to secure himself more resources. But it's good he's harassing. He is trying to, again, stall S205's economy. And of course give himself more time, but of course S205 is just as adept, if not better, at actually harassing Heath Ledger's resources. So good play there, good play. Panther engaging the T-45. Almost got the fuel point on the south, got the munitions there, which in fact means he can actually protect the fuel point. In fact, he's grabbing here as well. It's a good work there by Heath, though he is losing the north. So the question, of course, is how much good work it actually is. Katyusha fire there trying to silence the light infantry shots. Almost got one of them, in fact. And there we go, one 9th gun crew got utterly obliterated. Direct hit from a rocket there. The only one is the more veteran one, but that one is low on health and really could do with some healing and reinforcements. S205, they can go for another T-45, could go for the S205. Either way, I do think he should be going for something here versus Heath. Sturmpioneer being pushed back here by the Strafniki. S205 out there for S205, and back here we got healing reinforcement. Guardsman getting points here, Guardsman setting out close to veteran 3. Heading southwards there with the Befehls Panzerkampfwagen 5. Whatever he goes for now, the Panther just decides to go for a Panzer 4 here. But the tank destroyer should definitely do S205 quite a bit of good here as the Command Panther. And got the T-45 moving out. On the hunt for fascists, and there go direct hit from the Command Panther, slicing through the armour easily. North points getting secured, and we got the S205 tanks right there for S205. Ready to punch some really big holes into the fascist tanks. He had to, by the way, not recruit the other line figure, perhaps deciding he just doesn't need it anymore, though they did quite a bit of work together there, so feels like a bit of a mistake there by Heath not to recruit it. And he's just going for a regular Panzer IV here. Another Katyusha barrage here on the Schwer punted quarters. Bit of movement up north here, grabbing the point back here, victory points wise. Heath does have a lead over S205 for the moment. Guards moving forwards for the Rodina, the Red Army. Remember, Petrov, always aim rifle at fascists, not at anyone else. That way you are much more likely to hit fascists. Panzer almost done. Got better to the one here, mortar though. Oh, I was about to say only 2 kills, and then 1 hit later it goes from 2 to 10, wiping out a full 2 Sturmpioneer squad. And that is one hell of a mortar strike. It's the mortar round that just changed the entire game, because that's a lot of firepower gone for Heath, but also all of his repair capability. Certainly highlights the danger of allowing your troops to be too bunched up when they're repairing stuff under artillery fire. And that was honestly a bit of a tactical error, to put it very mildly, there for Heath. Big win there, the first 205, just fully wiping out 2 Sturmpioneer squads. That is not something that Heath is going to be recovering from. Still having to recruit the light infantry shots. Panther being pushed back, the S205 is going to be more than handy at this very specific task. Panther moving in, Panther will take further hits. We've got Sturmpioneers for Heath to replace the ones that got absolutely blown to chunks. And S205 is committing to another Katyusha. I'm not fully convinced this is the best choice, but of course it could still be helpful. But part of me, I think, would rather just, suggest more T-45s or maybe another S205, but that's just me. Either way, second Katyusha there for S205, which actually gave him a lot of artillery. I mean, he'd have 2 Katyushas and a heavy mortar. But there you go, guns being obliterated by Ketner for fire, Panther 4 fire. Almost losing his other line infantry gun, still has to recruit the second one that just got left behind. And there you go, direct hit from the heavy mortar wipes out the veteran line infantry crew, leaving Heath now without any artillery. His guns are silent. So that's a bit of a problem there for Heath. He has now suffered 2 rather severe losses in a short amount of time, which is only giving S205 more time to then do whatever he wants to. And so the Katyusha is going to be very punishing. Just in the constant fire, more or less. They're the Stalin organs, as they were known by the Germans. A little bit of fun trivia there. S205 rolling ahead. A bit risky and strange to the kidnappers. The one misses at this close range. He might be able to get close enough to Panther fast. He could get the S205. But another misses. Looks like the S205 still going to be able to get away. We got the Panther moving, trying to finish off. Guards with covering up. He make it a bit hard to make a direct approach. And there you go. Bit pushed away here. Bit pushed away. Guardsman charging forwards. And there you go. Got a quick grenade. We got the Panther moving ahead as well. 183 versus 322. S205 might want to do something about this because he's slowly bleeding out. Thankfully for him, though, Heath is not going more aggressive for the southern victory punch here, trying to further just speed up the bleeding here. More Sturm pioneers there for Heath. He obviously wants two to just help repairs, and of course they are good infantry under the right circumstances. Looks like he got some more hits. Could take out the spear punch forwards. He got the line for gun there. Definitely should be careful about bunching it too close together. And there you go, the spear punch quarters is kaput. And he can't get any additional armor. So they could go for a mechanized regiment, trying to set up for the King Tiger. Just go for some elements from there, like the Puma or the Stukas Fuss. Still trying to keep up pressure. Got incendiary grenades off. Panthers, Panther 4 planning coming fire. That Panther 4 though is in great need of repairs. Otto, yeah, am I supposed to be able to watch out as a tank from this angle? 9. Says not supposed to be any viewing slots. Alright, since there's really big holes, we probably should have some fixed. Radio silence again there to cover the retreat we got here though. S205 quickly taking up pursuit there. And we got the Katyusha firing here. 2 kills. Like Kevin was caught by the rockets. Nice push here though by S205. Looks like Heath either replaced the Sturm pioneers or lost another squad, which would definitely not be good. Trying to take out the spear punch quarters here. Took out the line from the gun, leaving only one behind here for Heath later possibly crew. It's only starting to look a bit bad for him. A bit bad to put it very mildly. Up north we got the machine gun bunker. Oh shit, they reestablished here for, I mean you could technically call it a bunker, I guess just a very, very improvised one. Machine gun nest I suppose would be more accurate. Guardsmen versus Fultz communities out in the open, being shredded by heavy assault rifle fire. The Guardsmen also standing up next to cover are not doing a lot to help the chances of not getting shot to pieces. There you go, more artillery fire. We got the heavy mortar out veteran 3, we got the Katyushas firing death down as well. And this we got the artillery edge is just really paying off here for S205. By now they've caused quite a few casualties and also helped take out the sharp punted quarters. But still the biggest hold still has to be just wiping out those 2 Sturm Pioneer squads with a single mortar round. That was just insane. And a real big loss there to Heath. More Sturm Pioneers on the way trying to fix up the Panther and the Panzer 4. Belgrove headquarters is on fire and seen much better days. Advancing once when we got the full southwards there to cover up the southern flank. Possibly also just trying to pressure there. But we can see there's too fast pushing north as well. Panther moving up, the Kednev's backing up, troops are spotting ahead there. We need to be careful not to push the Panther too far ahead. He doesn't know about mines, so far S205 has not been a big miner, but you know there's also other things you'll be hiding about. So it's going to up here in the Stravniki, which would certainly help out Heath just a bit. But there you go, massive guard sort there. The Kednev about to get knocked out. Other taken up with the Katyusha fire, leaving Heath now without any of his anti-tank weapons. Panther under fire there. More folks moving up, trying to grab the Kednev's back and losing a squad in the process. Things are quickly tumbling apart here for Heath Ledger. Wasted a Fulska squad just trying to recruit the Kednev, didn't work out, and now it's just dead Fulska grenadiers all over the place. S205 they're quickly in pursuit here with the S205. You can get a marked vehicle there on the Command Panther. Northern victory point there being seized. Looking pretty bad here for the 3rd Panzer Grenadier Division. The Russians are in control, it would seem. More Katyusha fire into the base, and oh my goodness, he's just tearing apart the German troops. Try to retreat to safety. 15 kills for 22. Flak half track on the way there. I'm not entirely sure what something to do with that one. That feels a very late choice there by Heath, and he might not be able to finish it as the artillery fire is landing awfully close to it. Guards block continues to advance here, lacking any suppressive weapons and other stuff. They can't really deal with it. All 3 victory points now under control of S205. Victory points are swiftly bleeding out. The situation is pretty desperate here for Heath. T10 only first to 5. Most likely, I think he's going to go for it at this stage just to spot for his other elements rather than using it for the anti-infantry. I might be wrong here though, but this sort of timing seems very much right for just using it to spot for the, say, the S205 or the Katyushas maybe. Battle Group headquarters down, moving ahead the Panther straight on. Not good there for Heath. And another full wipe on the Sturm Pioneers. So many Sturm Pioneers got wiped there under Heath's command. Absolutely horrific. At this stage, I think it's safe to say that Heath has more or less lost. I do not see him turning this around anymore. Not with those losses, not with that many Sturm Pioneers just being wiped out. Guards block continues to got the S205 and the T-35 setting out there. Panther pulling back. Come on, Panther moving up straight in front of the S205 and the T-35 by focusing on the guards blow up. Of course, they can't just ignore them either because they can't just fire the side armor of the tanks and that way threaten them. So, not really the best spot there for Heath. Not the best spot. The situation is looking pretty grim and desperate for the Germans. I would say even hopeless. You got flares off here from S205. He's taking no chances here. He wants to make absolutely sure he's ready for anything that Heath tries. Which is definitely not a bad idea to have. There you go. T-70 sending the other troops in the south trying to rush and grab the southern victory point, but S205 of course is very fast on the job. Another Katyusha barrage in here, trying to wipe out more stuff. Almost got like kidding over there, just further casualties, further pain and misery to Heath Ledger. Setting out the command Panther but not even fully repaired. I'm guessing at this stage he's just sort of given up on some level. He's still fighting, but I imagine he's not quite in it anymore. Victory points wise, they're actually now just falling behind S205. They're briefly close, equal in fact, but now the Russians are ahead. More Katyusha fire. There we go, T4 going straight for the Panther 4. It's about to lose it, and there you go. Further ticking down, he's got nothing left now. He's still fighting though it seems. But I am not entirely sure what his chances are of winning this. In fact, I'd say they're nil. And there you go. Game over. Drops out. And GG there. A victory for the motherland. The Red Army. The fascists were smashed apart. Like cheap glasses. So there you go, 1-1 here with some brutality there. Heath Ledger, I think, initially did pretty well. Could use the Sturm Pioneers and the Volksgunners, but as the game went on, I think he got a bit too, shall we say, set in just defending 2 victory points. He really tried to harass the other one, and that meant he also just kept attacking head on. He never tried to flank out maneuver. There's also a lack of mines, and also I think like he just failed to use the Obersoldaten as efficient as he could have. Plus the line guns were occasionally put in there, so of course just making mistakes like those Sturm Pioneers there, causing heavy losses for them, which really did not gave Heath Ledger any help. Compared to S205, I think did a bit weakly in some points there, but still was able to outplay his opponent, but just aggressive harassing, slowing down Heath Ledger, showing he did not get ahead in terms of resources, and that way give S205 real trouble. So in that regard, I think S205 really played to his strengths and used his knowledge as well as possible to that way put some serious pressure on Heath Ledger. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this match. Hope you learned something from it. If you did, subscribe, like, share, comment on it. And also big thanks to Dion for donating and supporting the Propagandacast, allowing me to keep doing this day after day. So thank you very much, you're a true hero. And this is Imperial Lane signing off, and see you all tomorrow for another signing episode. Bye.